Oh, blundered a pawn. Oh, it's losing. It happened again, and this time was even better than the last. Magnus Carlsen, world number 1, kicking off with e4 against the bad boy of chess, Carlsen Niemann, who goes c5. And once again, both players, in a show of mutual respect, rip off their clothes and play the entire game nude. This is Title Tuesday, 19th of March, the early tournament. All the reaction to come here, you're gonna love it. So Magnus plays knight f3. He's a bit stuck to his leather chair at this point, but he's persevering. We get d6 from Hans. Magnus plays the open Sicilian. We get takes, knight recaptures, knight f6 hits the pawn, and Magnus defends. a6, the Neidorf variation. Such an exciting one. We're gonna get a battle. Clock times on the left. This is speed chess. So bishop e3, the English attack from Magnus Carlsen. e5, the principled move. Knight b3, the main response. But Magnus goes for a sideline, loves his sidelines, right? Bishop e7 and bishop c4. Magnus goes to clamp down on that d5 square. But now something strange happens. Castles, very normal. Bishop e6. But Magnus takes that sniper off the board, pawn recaptures, and allows Hans to plug the hole. You don't normally do this, but Magnus has a specific idea in mind, starting with knight a4. Has he gone nuts? Putting a knight on the rim, which is dim, and leaving the e4 pawn hanging? Well, no. If you take that one in the centre with the black knight, then knight b6 is huge. You can't allow it. So knight fd7 covers the b6 square. Magnus plays the most explosive move with pawn c4, and in the darkness binds Hans, because this is a Maroczy bind. He's got the pressure. Hans keeps developing, eyeing the juicy d4 square, and Magnus brings one of those cannons into the game. c5 on the cards, so b6 covers the square, but now queen b3. The b6 pawn as tender as a newborn lamb in spring. So Hans covers with his cannon, and now a great move from Magnus. It looks impossible. How can you possibly play this pawn move of c5? The square's covered like a million times. Well, this is the point. Knight takes, b recaptures, and Magnus takes on e6 with check. He thumps his chest like Tarzan as Hans moves the king off to the corner, and he saddled Hans here with the epic camel toe pawn formation. How's Hans gonna fight back? Well, first he's pressuring on b2, so Magnus goes b3 cowboy, and Hans charges boldly forward with that steed. Hits Magnus's queen, but Magnus sees it. He's world number 1 at blitz. He is aware of backwards knight moves. That's why he chops this one off the board. Hans goes e takes on d. Eddie becoming Deirdre here. This is the modern world for you. And now e5. He wants to break up the central pawns, but Hans says no, goes full nutty professor, and sets up the clump in the centre here. They're coming down the board like space invaders. Very dangerous. So Magnus goes queen g4. He could have taken here, but he gets a bit spooked. He wants to keep his queen in the vicinity of the centre and his king and not get sidelined. Rook b4 now. Here comes Buddy Love supporting that clump of pawns. Queen eyeballed. Rook fd1 from Magnus. He doesn't care. He says d3. Do your worst. I'll move my queen, then your pawn's overextended. So Hans goes queen e8, bringing the lady onto the light squares. Magnus looks to shut it down, and after queen f7, this moment in the game says a lot, I feel, because Magnus can legit take that a6 pawn. It's the top engine move, or keep the queens on the board with queen c6. but he gets spooked by this attack. He takes the queen off the board, rook recaptures. Yes, Magnus loves an endgame as much as the clumps love a buffet, but even so, you feel he's a bit psyched out playing Carlsen Niemann right now. He just doesn't want to lose the game. So those ones off. He can't get checkmated. Knight e1 anyone? Now that one's coming back into d3. Eyeballing here. Knights are excellent blockaders, and g5 from hands, gaining space. Clamping down on f4 breaks. Knight d3 played. The rook pressured. The pawn pressured. Rook b5 covers. g3, king g7. And now a4 could have been played immediately, but Magnus flicks in e6, a double-edged move because it gains space but could become weak. Now he goes a4. Why is he shedding b3? Well, finally, he breaks up that clump of pawns, leaves hands with the double Ds there, and also hitting this rook and pawn at the same time. Hans doesn't want to take and make Magnus's life easy. He can start munching on these. So instead, rook c3. What a move. If captures, the pawns undouble and the c pawn's so dangerous. So Magnus takes on a6, but knight d7, as I'm highlighting, best move. This is risky. The knight is now sidelined, dominated by the bishop. Hans doubles on the file, threatening to win a rook. Magnus therefore sidesteps. He cannot take, allow the pawn to start running. d3 comes anyway, king g2, rook 8 c4 here, coming after this one. Hans really activating now. a5 from Magnus, and king f6 now prudent to do some defense, stop this pin, target the pawn. But Hans, getting ambitious, goes rook a3, and look at the reaction of this evaluation bar. White now 3 pawns ahead suddenly. That's like a piece, because rook b7, Magnus finds the move, and the bishop's dropping. Well, wait, is it? King f6 covers it. But knight c7, what a move. Supported by the rook, you cannot take. It's heading for takes here with check, therefore picking up a bishop. What to do? Hans plays bishop c5 to move the bishop away from the x-ray attack, but it's a big blunder if Magnus finds a difficult move. If you want to pause, look for the best move for white. Please do so. If you just want to see what it was, then it's coming in 3, 2, 1. The move is pawn e7. It's a killer on the spot. It looks impossible because of bishop takes, but then you get the same tactic. Knight check, king moves, bishop drops. And if you don't take with the bishop, you take with the king. Well, you've stepped into a discovered check. Rook drops on a3 here. Yes, black does take, but you're in exchange ahead. White doing great. So e7, immediately the move. But Magnus misses it. He goes rook e1, preparing it, but d2. This is getting so tense. Now we see a check. The king can't take or move to the e-file, so it comes to f5. Magnus could have tickled the king with rook f7, forcing it to g6. Then the pawn is covered, but he moves back to d1 immediately. He was attacked, of course, and Hans can legit take that pawn, but doesn't. Goes rook d3 to first cover his own pawn here, attack the knight. It's tense, it's complicated. Hans is down to like 6-7 seconds. Magnus on 20. We see e7 now played. Good move. Rook e4 to stop a baby girl, but now Magnus has another great winning idea. Again missed. Again pause if you want to test your skills. The best move here is rook d7. It's silent, but it's a killer because you cover this knight, you keep the pawn protected, and black's just in a bit of a bind. You know, what if you march in with the king? Then you simply make a queen. Not possible. What if you do nothing? Just go h5 here. Well, there's these kind of ideas. Now threatening a queen, and this time if you take with check, and there's a discovery on the loose rook. The themes continue, but that is the general idea. However, Magnus goes rook b8 immediately, but it just doesn't work. Yes, he threatens a queen, but Hans simply takes. Knight recaptures with check, but the rook's not on d7 to then take here. The rook's over on b8, right? It's not working. Hans simply takes, Magnus comes back, the pawns are liquidated, we're headed for a dead draw, right? Magnus has completely fluffed it, messed it up. How often do we see Magnus throwing a +5, 6 advantage? Hans in his head. Now, rook d7 attacks the pawn. This should be a theoretical draw, right? But don't go anywhere because the bizarre is still to come. What a crazy game. The full reactions you saw at the start on the way, but first we got some tickly moves. It's just like their last rematch, right? We've got a lot of tickly pawn moves going on, king moves rather, rook moves. Last time it was just kings on the board here. You can't trade the rooks as black. The pawn endgame's lost, but suddenly the beat of the move just gets to the players. Andrea Botes just starts doing a DJ set. It's techno, it's upbeat. They speed up suddenly. They're loving life. Magnus dancing, Hans having a boogie. Even Magnus's father Henrik comes and joins in once more. He loves to party with Hans and Magnus. Everyone's having a blast. It's titled Tuesday. It's the event of the week. We love it. Everyone's up, dancing, playing, but all good things must come to an end because right about here we get an issue. Carlsen Niemann just blundered the game. What is that move? Apparently it was a mouse slip. Rewind, action replay. It's dead level. King g6 holds the pawn. Hans goes king f6. Never play king f6. Just kidding, I made that up. And the pawn drops. You are kidding me. Oh, blundered a pawn. Oh, it's losing. Magnus now has the 2 pawns. It's gone from theoretical draw to dead lost. The foot soldiers start marching their way up the board here. What to do? They're marching. Can you believe it? Should have been a draw. Magnus messed it up, but Hans gave him a win. And here we see resignation from Carlsen Niemann. Unbelievable.
After rook b... Well, I messed it up. Didn't mean to do that.
Why did he resign? What if rook b5 to stop the pawn pushing? Then the king marches in. Sure, you can check, but king f7 here. And what to do? You know, you're threatening nasty mates. Say you step up with the king to stop the pawn advancing. Well, then you can offer a rook trade. And it's just hopeless. You can't trade the rooks. Say you check. Then king here. What to do? Say you wait. Well, now you swap the rooks. No good. What if king h8 therefore? Don't allow the rook swap. Well, now you can check first or even just push the pawns. Set up the barrier here and now you have to come to the back rank, stop the checkmate and white just slowly advances. You have to wait, king comes around, you wait, and then you can do nothing but allow the checkmate. What a game. I hope you enjoyed. Both players did put their clothes back on at the end, and if you want to see the original game they played, 30th of January for the first time in Titled Tuesday in a long time or ever, check out the video on screen. Thanks a lot for watching and see you soon.